Here we have it, the man of the hour. He's an Oscar-winning producer. He created a line or a studio called Sugar 23. He is running Hollywood right now. He has so many departments in Sugar 23. I can't even name it, but he's going to explain to all of us. Please welcome Michael, the sweetest Sugar in the house, baby. How are you?
Thank you. I'm great. How are you today?
Well, Michael, I feel honored. Look at you. You're in front of me. You look great. I can't believe this.
I'm the one who's feeling honored. It's Daddy Monaco.
Thank you so much for that.
It's Twitter. Listen, we've known each other for a very long time, so I'm happy to be here. And I've watched your show, and you've had my heroes on it. So I don't know. I feel like I might not live up to it. Thanks for having me.
Well, no, it's a pleasure. And by the way, who are your heroes that you really love?
I love I love baseball players. You had Strawberry and Doc, and it's awesome.
Sean Green, Dodgers.
Sean Green, Grand Slams, took 2 Grand Slams one day.
Yeah.
That was great. So tough time to be a Dodger fan today, but we believe. 3 games in a row. We've done it many, many times.
You guys were down 3-1 to the Braves last year, and
we got this.
So, Michael, before we start talking about your career right now, I want to turn back the clock. All right. Ever since you were a kid, did you always wanted to be a producer?
Yeah, it's funny. My brother and I, JB, we used to pretend to play studio when we were kids. Look at that, right on cue.
There you go.
I always wanted to make movies. I wasn't sure in what way, but it was drawing me in from the beginning. And my folks were both in show business, so we were around it forever. And I don't think I ever wanted to do anything else. I went to school back east and went to law school. And when I came into LA, into Hollywood, I didn't start as a producer. I did, but I wasn't really finding any real path to success there. So I spent most of my career managing artists. And then about 15 years ago, pivoted into producing.
But when you were a kid too, did you compete with your brother in sports, anything like that? Were you guys?
Yeah, we didn't really compete. I was a couple of years older, so we were always in a different divisions, but we played a lot of sports and we were competitive, but not really. My memories of childhood wasn't that I was competitive with him. It was just we were really close, still are, and supported each other. And we worked together at first for a long time, and then he went off to Canada, started his own empire there. So, but now we're doing some things together, which is cool. Really.
Which I can't wait to talk about. But hold on, I'm turning back the clock a little bit.
Go back.
When you went to boarding school, right? Did you try to sneak out of boarding school and meet girls? How did it work back then?
I would. Well, it wasn't really. It was a boarding school, I suppose. I left high school. I went to high school in Los Angeles, and I left a year early to go to an international school called the United World College, which was a 2-year program, and it sort of replaced 12th grade and 13th grade. What would have been 13th grade. And it was amazing. For me, it wasn't really to escape anything. It was just a really unique opportunity to be surrounded by really smart, fun, cool people from everywhere. And I was there. I can talk about that forever, but I was there in 1989, 90, and 91, which was a pivotal time in the world. It was the time when the Berlin Wall fell, Mandela was freed. It was the first Gulf War. So to be in this environment with 200 students from around the world with disparate political vibes and points of view, but a shared mission to sort of make the world a better place. And it was really transformative for me as a human and as a student. And I always back then knew what I wanted to do with my life was to tell stories to change the world. A lot of my classmates went off to work at the UN or in government or in philanthropy, and my mission was always I'm going to try to do this through story.
Were you always a hustler too? Were you or no?
I mean, I suppose I was. I was not a good student in high school. The principal actually told my parents I probably wouldn't get into college, and but I was always motivated. Like I had a lot of ambitions. I just wasn't that into it. And then this international school actually sort of reignited a love for learning for me, and it made school pretty easy from there. I actually ended up doing very well in college and going on to law school. And my mom sent the graduation announcement to that principal and said, in her own way that she should, take a long hike. But it was, for me, that was really transformative for sure.
So now, Brandeis University, you went to, what made you pick that school out of all the schools?
There's a couple reasons. One, there's a bunch of reasons. Okay, so one of my best friends was there, and he loved it. I had been in this incredibly diverse environment, and which was great. But I also wanted to be with some people that I thought were a little bit more like me. It turned out sort of wasn't particularly relevant to my experience. But I was really excited by being part of a new school. Right, Brandeis was only 50 years old at the time, and I just I like to make tradition rather than observe it. And I thought, I really did think going in there that I'd have a chance to do that and really sort of break some eggs over there, which was cool. And I did. I feel like for me it was perfect. And I wanted to be in Boston, great city.
Well, you got a whole bunch of universities out there too.
Yeah, it's a cool place to go to school. It's just great vibe. Like you said, there's so many colleges there. So it was fun. It was a good time.
I have a classic story from one of my guys that went to Brandeis University at the same time you went.
Uh-oh.
And you want to hear this, but it's funny.
I do. Yeah, tell me.
Okay, so there was a story that you were the RA in the building at Brandeis, and one time you went inside the recreational room, and you seen a pile of shit, and you flipped out. And you went up to the dorms and you who the hell did this right now? And
I honestly, I have such a great memory, but I don't remember the shit thing. But it's very likely I would have wanted to know who did that, because who would do that?
I know, yeah.
But also, who was your guest?
Well, I'll tell you, he's a former Major League Baseball player.
Is it Nelson?
Yep, no. Nelson told me everything.
That's hilarious, yeah. And I was so proud of Nelson Figueroa. I got to tell you, I watched.
Yeah, here he is, right there.
Oh, there he is. There's my man. What a treat. That guy was. Yeah, he was. I don't think he did the shit in the dorm room, but
no, I deeply investigated him. I said, "Was it you, Nelson? Don't bullshit." No. He said that guy Michael's such a great guy, and the only time he flipped out was with that situation. That's it.
That's right. Listen, that kid is he is a good human, and I mean I haven't seen him in forever. I was so excited when I saw him in the big leagues. As a baseball lover, you don't really expect kids that play at Brandeis to land in the major leagues. I was so psyched. I think it was Cleveland and then the Mets. Does that sound right?
No, I think was it the Philly? I don't know. He definitely played for the Phillies, the Mets. Played for, huh?
I think it was the Rockies too at one point, maybe.
I think so, but he grew up in Brooklyn. I played against him in high school.
Is he broadcasting now or something?
He used to be with the SNY, which is the New York Mets network, but he's not there anymore. So he podcasts with the New York Post with sports.
Awesome.
Yeah.
What a good dude. Well, tell him I say what's up.
When I told him back in May that I'm going to interview you, and he goes, "Holy shit, yo, that guy's the coolest guy. The only time I saw him get upset was that one time in the rec room." I was like, "What?" Yeah.
I have much more salacious stories than that. Not for this.
Okay. But listen, that Brandeis University. I mean, you had some studs going there as far as Eleanor Roosevelt, Deborah Messing went there.
Yeah. Nelson Figueroa.
Oh, no.
It was a great place for me. The other reason why I wanted to go there, and this is maybe this is the hustler in me, was I always wanted to go to Harvard Law School. And I wrote a letter to Harvard Law School when I was choosing which college. I was lucky because I was able to pick whichever college I wanted to go to because of my international school. They wanted kids from that school. So getting into university was not as hard coming from there. So I had a lot of good choices. And I wrote a letter to the dean of Harvard Law School saying, where do I go to Harvard Law School? And he wrote me back a letter, and he gave me a few suggestions. Brandeis was on it. And he said, you should go to a small liberal arts school and get a well-rounded education and participate in extracurricular activities. And so here I was, like, valedictorian of my class. Couldn't have been more involved in the community of the school, organizing the social life. I think I had an elected position called Party Czar, which was cool, where I got to allocate all of the money from the students into, like, we had concerts and parties. It was rad. And I had my own show, or worked on a show that I was a host on the TV station. I did community service. I mean, I was Joe College. Got into every law school except Harvard.
Wow.
So.
And then you had a great professor, right? You had a great professor that really inspired you, right?
Yeah, but Tom Doherty was my film professor.
Was that him right there?
I got to tell you, this is a top-notch operation in real time.
Oh, you know it, baby. You're in the big leagues.
We did not set this up. All these pictures right on cue, and that man is a genius right there, Tom Doherty. One of the best professors, best teachers I've ever had in my life, and really just created a love for film with all of his students. And I know I share that feeling with so many. So I got an award from the school recently, and he was the person who gave it to me, which was really awesome. And a phenomenal man, author, professor, good dude.
Michael, what did you learn from him that really was stuck in your mind? It's like, you know what? If things doesn't go the right way, when you craft as an artist, you're like, shit, man. And then all of a sudden you hear that voice from your professor, like, okay.
I want to say something really poignant. I don't know that, some people give you like a nugget and you carry it, a quote. That wasn't what I got from Tom. So I don't have that direct answer. But what we got from Tom and one of my dear friends, we still talk about it, is more. It was more than a nugget. It was like we subscribed to a new pathos of, like, love for storytelling. Like, he reiterated the possibility that there is meaning and longevity to storytelling, right? And we did that by looking at movies in the past that were resonant today. And it was just, so for me, it was just like, it gave me the confidence to believe that I could do it. I mean, I always had the confidence, but he really sent us on our way. I mean, I don't know that I would have been as rigorous about my pursuit of it without. I mean, I probably took 6 or 8 classes with him.
Wow. And when you graduated from law school, which law school did you go to?
Georgetown.
Oh, wow. That's big leagues. Did you watch the Georgetown Hoyas play or no?
Allen Iverson was there. Yeah, I sure did. But, I never really wanted to practice law, so I got to enjoy law school. It didn't stress me out, because I knew I wasn't going to have to compete for the best job. It was really just a learning experience for me at that point. And I just wanted to have the credibility of, knowing the law and thinking that way.
So, Michael, you told me you weren't a good student back then before boarding school, but you actually went to law school. I mean, was it easier for you? Like, your brain finally got it?
I think it's like with anything in life. When you understand the connectivity to it, it's easier to invest in it, right? Whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was literally it just, like, something clicked where I realized the correlation between learning and value, right? I didn't understand calculus. Why? Like, there's no calculus season where I'm going to need calculus, and I just couldn't connect it. But when I started to see education through the lens of human beings and how how learning can impact a future, and the things that are, like, so obvious to adults in hindsight that in the moment we just don't see, I think that level of interest just made me a better student because I just saw the connective tissue to it, right? Like
Right.
you go to baseball practice, you do drills because you know you're going to have to field ground balls in the game,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't necessarily understand why you're doing drills in geometry. And I think for me, my brain just didn't connect those dots until a little later on.
After
Sorry.
you graduated, don't worry about it. After you graduated from law school and you told your parents, I want to be in the showbiz, did they support you on that? Or did they say, are you kidding me? No, we don't want you to go through suffering and all that stuff.
Well, they always said don't do it, but it was more tongue in cheek. I mean, they did it, and it wasn't a declaration I made at the end of college. It was a declaration I made in childhood. So it was sort of a foregone conclusion. Um, Always supportive, my parents, from me in every way, and I was really blessed. And sorry, these emails, man, they're just coming. Everyone's like, "You're on the
That's
show."
because,
I know I'm on the show. It's live, but people, they're telling me.
well, yeah, because you're dealing, I'm dealing with a
You
legend.
know that you're on a live stream right now.
Yeah, if you go to Facebook right now, you see me live.
That's why you're seeing me. Super supportive folks. They encourage me always. I think that it's a really dumb business in a lot of ways, and it's the only business I can think of, and we can talk about the creator process and things that I've learned. And actually, I'd love to talk a little bit about what we're doing, but it's the only business where there's a disproportionate relationship between hard work, talent, and success. Right? You're an athlete and you're the best, and you work your ass off. You're gonna succeed to a degree. If you're a lawyer, same, banker, teacher, anything that you put your heart and soul into, you can succeed with. In the traditional film and television business, you don't automatically get that for hard work and talent and success. I do believe that opportunities come for those that earn them, and I do believe that there is some correlation, but it's not proportionate, right? There are many brilliant actors who have worked their entire life and are, and we've seen them, many of them become stars later in life. Look at, Jim Gandolfini and others that they were actors when they were 22. They just weren't actors you'd notice. Right. So it's a really tough business that way. And I think my folks had seen that. And it's relentless. And it also, because you have to keep repeating it, you don't get a lot of moments of jubilation, unless you're conscious of it, which is, something that I really index to now.
It's the same thing. I tell people, as an actor and as a trained actor, you can have the best audition, but it's like you do everything perfect, and it's like in baseball, you hit it perfectly and it lands in the Rawlings and you're out. It's the same thing, and it's like,
but it's also not measured the same way because it's so visceral. It's so dependent on another person in almost every case, right?
Yeah.
It's not even the other person alone. It's the other person and their circumstances of the day. Yeah. I remember speaking to a studio president once, and I asked her what it is that determines whether you buy a script or not. It was early in my career, and her response was, "What I had for breakfast." And I said, what do you mean? And she said, "Well, I'm being a little glib, but if I had a fight with my husband on the way to work and I had to read a script, probably didn't like that script." And so you realize how arbitrary some of this can be. Not all of it. There's a lot of very talented executives who are responsible with their engagement, but generally speaking, you're just at the mercy of other people, and that's that's a tough business. People are people suck.
Exactly. Now so how'd you get the job at Anonymous Talent? No, hold on. Before Anonymous Talent, you were, what were your jobs in Hollywood? I mean, I'm sure. Did you valet park? I read an article about that. Is that true?
I didn't valet park. That I never did that. I didn't really have jobs in Hollywood. I mean, early days.
Yes.
Early. I started at the Hollywood Reporter as an intern. I was a PA on a movie, which was demoralizing, but interesting. I but then out of law school, I started a company, like just straight out, and I didn't know what I was doing. I did it with my brother and another a roommate of my brother's from law school, or from his college, I should say. And he went on to become a very successful actor. So he left us because he got some acting job on over Christmas vacation when he went home, and he landed a 6-month job on a movie. And he's worked for ever since then, and he's done great. My brother and I just were hustling after that, and we started in unscripted television, in reality.
Mm-hmm.
Sold a bunch of shows early, and didn't get many of them made, but we're selling them. And then I went through like a couple of different companies trying to find my way. I became a manager. Somebody told me, a guy called David List, who's was an agent at William Morris back in the day, and now is a producer. He just produced the new Fletch show. A wonderful guy, and he came to me one day and said, "You should be a manager." And I didn't know what that really meant, and I didn't know anybody who needed a manager except for all of the day shift at the Four Seasons Lobby Bar Hotel, which is where I took my meetings because I couldn't afford an office. So my first clients was basically most of the day shift at the Four Seasons Lobby Bar, and one by one got them work. And it's the one guy I didn't sign was the bartender, Sebastian Manicalsco, who, I should have been drinking more, but I was having iced teas. So I didn't, because I was drinking iced teas all day, I didn't meet Sebastian. And, so I didn't get I didn't land the Powerball. I just got the numbers. But after that, progressed into a couple of different iterations. Like anybody, was building my reputation and my relationships. In 2005, I started at Anonymous.
And when you were so when you started the management company, how would it be your gut as far as signing the client? Like, how can you get convinced to say, you know what, I'm going to sign this guy?
It was my gut. I mean, I really started with actors actually, and I would just look at their work, and I would forge relationships and just pitch my heart out and get them auditions, and they did great. Nobody became a superstar. One of the early clients, who was an actor, became a director and ended up winning an Oscar for his first film, or really wasn't his first film, but first film when I started working with him, Gavin Hood, and then he went on to do X-Men and a number of other movies, and he's a brilliant director. But he was an actor first with me. I think for me, it's it's something that I've done well by, is just identifying talent, right? And so you can tell. I mean, it's it when you're watching a show. If somebody's not up to snuff, that takes you out of it. So for me, it was about that, and about whether I could pave a path or help pave a path, and I took a lot of flyers. I didn't always win. But it was good. And then, it started to get better and better as I learned, hey, there's me.
Yeah, all right. So this is anonymous talent, right? How'd you get that gig?
It was actually right when Gavin Hood his movie had come out, or hadn't come out, but it was at the Toronto Film Festival, and people were starting to talk about him, and therefore they started to talk about me a bit. And I got on Steve Golan's radar, who was the founder of Anonymous, and I had sort of sworn off working for anyone else at the time, and but he came and said, "Look, I've got a cool platform, and I realized I could do something there," and so I gave it a shot. And it was June 1st, 2005, is when I started there.
That's him and you, right?
Yes, that's Steve.
And then
he passed away a year ago.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah,
it was a big bummer for everybody.
Now, an anonymous talent, you're still there officially as an employee?
No. So I left. I spun out this company about 3 years ago, Sugar 23, and so I'm on my own now. Still have lots of friends there, and still do stuff with them. But generally, that's the new shop right there. I love this. You're doing it all. You're interviewing, you're producing, you're directing.
I'm doing everything. No one's helping me. I'm doing everything on my own. Okay.
It's impressive, I got to say.
Your relationship as a manager, is Steven Soderbergh one of your top guys on your roster?
Yeah, I mean He's yes, for sure he is. I mean, he would be the top guy on anybody's roster.
Right.
I've decreased the size of my management business as I've scaled into building a company. Uh, but yeah, he's just the best. I mean, he's brilliant and kind and a disruptor. And so I'm really trying to focus. Look at you! Wow. Um, the having him in my life has been great. We've done shows together. We're getting into some fun stuff together now on something else, and we've had a good run. I mean, he was obviously world class. I can't take credit for that, but we've had a really nice run.
Has that ever happened to you? Any of your clients be like, "Hey, how come this guy's directing a film? Not Soderbergh, but hey, I should be the guy." And he's like an A-list director. Has that ever happened? Or an actor? Hey, why did he get the part? I
No,
should. No.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's happened, but not really. I mean, the thing is, when you represent, I got to a place where I was picking people that were in and of themselves equally brilliant and talented, and I think that it was more like a mutual respect that my clients had for each other, and they worked together.
Hmm.
I represent these writers, Jack Amiel, Michael Begler, who are as talented a writing team as exists on the planet, and they wrote the Knick, which is my one
That
of
was
the
a
things
great
that.
show. Holy shit!
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they wrote the Knick in about literally a week, and then they wrote the rest of the season in about 6 weeks or 7 weeks. It was something like staggering like that. And this was when Steven was thinking about retiring, and I said, "You got to read this, man. Like, this is special." And he did, and it was great because we got to make it, and the show is awesome. But also, I got to put clients together, and they had a great thing, and they've collaborated since. So I love that, and I haven't. Listen, I don't want to deal with people that are looking at everyone else, because then they're not looking at themselves and they're not looking forward. And that's I've been lucky enough to have those choices.
So, Michael, give me the step by step as far as Let's talk about the spotlight. You guys won an Oscar. You guys were on top of the world at that time, right?
Yeah.
How do you, when you attach actors, when you, as a producer, do you say, "Hey, I want Mark Ruffalo. I have to have him. He's perfect for this," right? But let's say he's like, "No, I'm not really interested. I'm not really feeling the script." How do you convince an actor to say, "Look, this is the bomb. I'm telling you."
Yeah. I mean, luckily, most of the time, it's not my job to do that. It's
Mm.
mostly the director's job, right? So my job is to get the director who will get the cast, right? I mean, I've definitely had to do some persuasion here and there, and I have relationships with certain actors, so it's a little bit easier. But Mark was Mark was Tom's choice, Tom McCarthy, the writer director, and obviously who wouldn't see that. So um, I think when it's a collaborative process of sort of vetting ideas in the casting process, but generally I look at my role as producer is to back the director's choices, as long as they're not controversial for reasons that may inhibit the success of the film in one way or the other. I try to embrace those choices.
So
Spotlight was like a very long journey to get to casting. It was many years of work. Um, but once we started casting it, it came together, pretty quickly.
and with that film, did it make a lot of money?
No, I mean, by independent film standards, it did fine.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I made, I mean, almost no money, minimum wage if you did the hours on that, probably,
Wow.
or less. No, I think it was a labor of love for everybody. It was a successful film in the sense that it nobody lost money. It earned some money back. By the time things trickle down to people like me on a movie like that, it has to really blow the lid off. And it's a movie that did well. It got bolstered, of course, by the Oscar, but it just it didn't go bananas.
Right.
I don't really remember.
But I
Maybe
feel
50.
like most independent films are like Oscar type of films. I mean, why is that?
Well, why are most Oscar
Independent
films?
films are nominated for Oscars. Like studio films, I don't really
Well, look, there's plenty of studio films.
lately.
But I think independent film is hard because it's independent. which means that you don't have the support of the studio money, but it also means that you don't have the thumb on your neck of the studio. And so we've been fortunate. The studios that I work with have, in almost every case, been really supportive. But I also usually work with world-class directors who are, able to command that respect. But independent films give, I think, a greater amount of freedom to the creator, and usually those are better choices.
Right. Did you what was my question? Oh, were you on set all the time, most of the time when you guys were shooting this film?
I was, yeah, on this one.
Did any were any reporters there, real reporters, like consulting the film, like helping you guys out?
All of those reporters that are depicted in that picture, the real reporters were on set all the time. So they were, like on a daily basis, they were there.
Like, did they have the right to say no? You got to cut this. That didn't work because this.
No, they didn't. They didn't say no. But because they didn't want to, because we researched it. Our actors spent time. Rachel McAdams was with Sasha. Liev Schreiber was with Marty Baron. Like these were they were part of our crew, really. But they were helping us with accuracy. I remember one moment when Robbie, who Michael Keaton played, was not directing, but came up to Michael and said, "I never held my briefcase with that hand." And, but Michael was super excited to embrace the authenticity of the performance. So, that was like a moment, but generally they were just amazing.
And the Keaton adjust? Did he say, "Okay, I'll hold it"?
Yeah.
Okay.
Switch it up.
Yeah, it's easy.
But these people were all heroes to us. So it was like a learning process every day to be in their orbit. And what they did obviously was, important in the world and really transformative. So it was cool to have them there. And I've made a lot of movies about real world people. The one that just started streaming on Netflix last month, our subject that also Michael Keaton played, Ken Feinberg, he was on set a lot too. I think it's really helpful when you're telling true stories.
I love true stories. I'm a fan of true stories, man. I love it. It's like, it's so captivating. It's like, wow, you're so in it, So,
yeah, I'm drawn to it. When
did you have a feeling, the moment of like, wow, when you screen your films, Toronto Film Festival, all the film festivals, when did you feel like, holy shit, listen, this is gonna be big, this film. People are loving this film.
I guess it was that night, right, at Toronto. People loved the film because we went to Venice first, and it was mixed. The first review was like a train wreck, and so we were really demoralized in Venice. And then more reviews started piling in overnight, and there was much more positive. So we had this sort of mixed momentum going into Toronto, but that festival screening was huge. And I remember we had a big ovation. My father was sitting behind me, which was so nice to have him there. And he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "This is going all the way." And I didn't even know what all the way meant at that time. So I really didn't think that there was going to be it didn't even occur to me that there was an Oscar at the end of that road. But it did sort of cement this possibility that it would be well received. It tested very well. The movie tested well. But we've had movies test great that nobody wants to see, and the other way around. So I don't give it too much credence to testing. But yeah, I think after Toronto, the reviews started becoming much more universally positive, and the audiences were really loving it. And then that's where it ended.
Mike,
but it's actually not where it ended, because that movie still is making moves. Like, it's referenced all the time in all the ongoing conversation about abuse and institutional abuse and the need for accountability. We still see it. There was an article the other day about something.
Yeah.
Where
you know what's crazy, Michael? Last year, I'm at the Cigar Lounge, and these guys were literally talking about Spotlight. And they're like, "Oh, this crazy film, you don't understand. It was so good." Did the Catholic churches get offended by that film or no?
What was amazing? No. The Catholic Church had a very interesting relationship with us on this movie. They were very concerned. They were aware of it, for sure. they were welcoming to us when we were shooting the movie, and they were near it. You know, it was like that thing where you're like a nervous
Hmm.
parent who like doesn't want to go in and say don't do this because you need to
Right.
let them have their freedom, but a little worried that they might put their finger in the socket or worse. But then when the movie came out, what I thought was so compelling, and we were very careful, I should say, to balance this movie, not to make it it was never intended to be anti-Catholic.
Right.
It
Right.
was, it was meant to show that a portion of the Catholic Church was involved in an institutionalized cover-up. And we were very careful to make sure that we balanced it and showed that there was good too in the church, and there is good in the church. Um, so we were very careful. What ended up happening is that it became almost cathartic for the Catholic Church. Catholics in general were big lovers of the film because I think that they were all aware that to some degree that this was happening, and acknowledging it was almost some form of a confessional in a way. And
Hmm.
then there's an organization of bishops in the U.S. and it's every bishop of every Catholic church are in this organization, and they sent a letter to all the bishops encouraging them to to encourage their own congregation to go see the movie, which was
Wow.
and it was actually quite helpful for us in a
Yeah.
lot. So the church, the church in the United States, at least, was embracing, and the Vatican acknowledged it and congratulated us and all of that. But and there was definitely some policy change that came out of it at the level of the Vatican. There's a lot of work to do still.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Michael, the night, like, when you wake up early in the morning, I know the Oscars announce at my time, Eastern time. So it's like 5 in the morning, you guys, right? Where were you? I mean, I'm sure you were in bed, but like, what did you do that day when they said
Oh man,
Spotlight is nominated for an Oscar?
it was cool. It was a drink. It was. I was with my wife. Um, she was pregnant, but just pregnant, and so we didn't drink a lot. We didn't drink at all, but yeah, no, it was awesome. I mean, there she is. It's
There
my
you
dream.
go.
We I think what we did was we had to do some press. I had to do some press
Hmm.
immediately, and then I think we just went away. We just got on a plane. I can't remember if it was. I think it was that day. We just got on a plane
Hmm.
and just took a breath. It was like it's a dream, right? To get nominated for an Oscar. You don't. I've been, like I said, I've been thinking about making movies since I'm a kid, and my dad was so proud when he became a member of the Academy. It was like I remember that day as like of all the things he was excited about for himself. He was always proud of my brother and me, but it was a big deal. Like he got a
Yeah.
card, and it was cool because we also got in to go see movies for free. But
Right.
but it meant something, and so it was just like I mean, I guess it's the equivalent of hitting a walk off home run.
No, you know what's equivalent? I'll tell you, Michael, what's equivalent. You know, when a kid plays his heart out, his whole little league, middle school and then high school, then college, and then all of a sudden you go into the AAA's office manager and he says, "Buddy, you're going to the Bronx.
Yeah,
You're in the
it
big
was,
leagues." Just
yeah, man.
that's the
It
moment.
was cool. It was cool. I mean, there's no two ways about it, right? And I think a lot of people when they're nominated for an Oscar are like meant to be so cool about it, or when they're like, oh, it's just an honor to be nominated, which, but, and it is, but also like when that happens, like you want to win.
You want
And
to
like
win, exactly.
you start shifting into a different mindset if you can. Like, when there's 8 or 9 nominees, like 3 of the producers know that they're not going to win. Like they got in and they're just happy to be on the
Right.
party. But the ones that are like in contention, and by that point we were at least a real contender, the pressure it becomes a thing. Like it was a real thing that that I experienced. It was definitely, I mean, absent Parenthood, which is its own level of intensity, like professionally, the most intense period of my life. It was not fun. It
Did
was. It
you?
was.
But did you guys win a SAG and a Golden Globe or no?
We won the SAG award. We did not win the Golden Globe.
Oh, okay. Who won the Golden Globe that year?
The Revenant.
Oh yeah.
The Revenant won. So,
Mike,
which was
be
like,
honest. Did that upset you? Be honest. In your mind, you're like, we should have won it.
of course, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it didn't. But look, the good news of that bad news was that my company also did the Revenant. So it was good. It was like, it's like when your like best friend comes and beats you, right? You still wanted to win,
Right.
but like, okay, fine, it wasn't someone else. But yeah, you want to at that stage. First of all, we thought we were going to win the Golden Globe. Like we were cocky at that point because the Hollywood Foreign Press were so vocal about how much they loved it, and we thought we didn't think we were going to win, but we really thought we had a good chance. If I'm being honest, and so it was, and we didn't win any of the awards that night. We were just like we were shut out. So, but yeah, it was really cold in there. Like they make it super cold so no one sweats. And my wife was like in that worst part of pregnancy, miserable.
Yeah.
And we were sitting next to Wiz Khalifa, who I love and have worked with since recently even. But I mean, he just, he was Wiz, so you know what he was smelling like. And so my pregnant wife is sitting next to like like a hot box of weed smoke. And so we just couldn't wait to get out of there. But it was disappointing for sure.
Wow. So after the Golden Globes, you're like, all right, well, whatever. So now when the Oscars come, you guys, were you shocked when they announced that you guys are the winners? Like, were you like, no effing way? Or the expectation was like, hell yeah, we deserve this.
I mean, I guess going into the Oscars, I did not think I was going to win the Oscar that night. The one thing that I will say is, I've told this story publicly once before, but my wife told me like many months before that I should meditate on things like, you manifest things, right? And I don't know. I don't know if I really believed in that, or even if I still do, although I should. But she's one of those people that says, don't say you'll believe it when you see it. You'll see it when you believe it. So picture it and meditate on it and manifest it, right? And I was manifesting this like, when I would go to bed and I would visualize my family, the things that really mattered. But I would also throw in like 30 seconds of total narcissism and say, let's imagine what, that would feel like. So the weird thing was that when I visualized it, I always visualized it from a specific seat in the auditorium, which was where we were sitting, as it turned out, which was completely coincidental. But when Leo DiCaprio was winning his Best Actor Oscar, on the side you could see, when you're in the audience, you can see who's presenting next. It's not on TV. And Morgan Freeman came out, getting ready to present our award, and I knew in that moment, it still gives me the chills thinking about it, because I'd always envisioned Morgan Freeman saying Spotlight for whatever reason. And I just had this like sense of like inevitability in that moment. And I grabbed my wife's knee and I said, we won. And she said, what are you talking about? And so I knew it at that moment. But that was the first moment that I actually believed it would happen. And
Wow.
it was cool. Like, it was a cool thing. There was no doubt about it.
I'm looking at the stats. Altogether, that film, out of all the film festivals, you guys were nominated 143 times, and you won 122 awards for that film.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we were lucky. I mean, look, but also the nice thing about that movie is, critics are journalists. This movie was a love letter to journalists. So we definitely had a nice built-in fan base on those that were giving awards. But it was awesome. I mean, but the thing that, look, this is true. It sounds maybe idealistic or maybe even a little Hollywood, but the truth is, we wanted this movie to reach an audience. That's what we really cared about, because everyone did this because we cared, right? I make movies to make money too. But this was a movie that I made to make an impact, right? This was the like 17-year-old dreamer of changing the world in me. And so every award, including the Oscar, amplified that message, right, to the world, and that it was there was some reason to see this thing. And so for us, those awards were commercials. They weren't just validations. And so yeah, it was great that it happened that way.
No, it was great. Yeah, I really enjoyed that film. Like every moment, and Ruffalo and Rachel and Liev Schreiber. Liev Schreiber and I went to the same sleepaway camp when I was a kid, like really young. Yeah, but he's like 4 years or 5 years older than me. And I was like, and I saw him at the Golden Globes after party. I was like, listen, I got something to tell you. He's like, what? You and I went to the same camp. He's like, what? I was like, yeah. He says, Camp Leah? I was like, yeah, man, back in the days. And he was like, yeah, oh, shit.
Good plug for Camp Lee right here. He wants to go for food next summer.
This is way back in the days. So this is when gas was like 40 cents a gallon.
Not anymore, man.
So, okay, so I'm assuming since your wife was pregnant, I guess you didn't party too hard that night after the Oscar, the after party.
We had we were probably the earliest home of any Oscar winner ever. Like we went, we went to the Spotlight after party and then we rolled right home. We didn't want to go. First of all, the Vanity Fair party didn't invite me.
What?
You get invited.
You won an Oscar. How can that be?
Well, when I had an Oscar in my hand, I'm getting texts, please come, but I didn't get an invitation. So I didn't want to go to their party. And we were just like, I don't know. We just wanted to retreat and be together and breathe it and she wasn't feeling great, to be fair, but yeah, that just felt like the right thing to do. So the best part was my friends that were in LA and my family that were in LA met us. We celebrated together for an hour and then we just pieced out and, had a little, cause it was intense, man. Like I tell you, the day before was the Independent Spirit Awards. And this is like, I don't know why this happened, but like I was in the shower getting ready to go to the Independent Spirit Awards and I had like a movie, like a bad soap opera, like weep. It just overwhelmed me. I was just thinking about the magnitude of how close I was to this potential thing. And it just overwhelmed me. And I just needed that, like whatever. I don't know if that's ever happened to you. I never cry, but sometimes I do. And for whatever reason, it just knocked me out. And it was so healthy for me to let it out. But it's overwhelming. Like when you get that close. And there was one movie star who was nominated that year. And I'm not going to say who it was because it's just not fair. But she and I we flew out to LA together and she said to me, I want to fucking win. And I said, yeah, I get it. She's like, no, it's not an honor to be nominated. It's an honor to win. I want to win. And you never hear that, right? But like anyone who doesn't want to win that could is full of shit. They all want to win because, like I said earlier, the validations don't come the usual way in this business. And so you want to win. And it was just like, definitely for me, awesome.
Well, you know what it is, Michael? It's like here it is. You get to the World Series. What, you're just going to say, oh, it's an honor to be here? No, you get to win. Take the crown home.
Yeah, I mean, and also just like what it does, it's interesting. There's a producer, Arnold Kopelson, who was, a bit of a mentor to me, and he's since passed away, but he won the Oscar for Platoon for Best Picture, which was one of my favorite movies.
Oh, yeah.
And you get lots of, you hear from a lot of people on a night like that you haven't heard from in many, many years. But he was like one of the guys that was always like present all the time for me. But he sent me this note and it said, you have no idea the doors that will open now, especially the ones you didn't know were closed. And that stuck with me. And I found that to be the case. Like, it doesn't mean that much in Hollywood, to be honest. There's a lot of people with Oscars, but it means a lot outside of Hollywood. It has opened doors for me in all kinds of ways, in business, in all kinds of ways. So for me, it was a good thing. I'm happy.
Michael, is it like how do you get investors to invest in the movie? Like, what's the pitch? What do you tell them? You know what I mean? Like, how can you convince investors to say, "Okay, we'll do it"?
Well, before today it was harder, but going forward, I'm going to be like, I was on the Eddie Mata show. So
There you go, baby.
now I'm credible. I don't know, man. Like it's like, you got to have the goods. You gotta justify it financially. You got to have a track record, and they gotta see either an economic return possibility or some other return. And I think it depends on the size of the movie. I mean, my investors have ranged from like, literal kings and queens of remote countries, or Netflix or Universal or Paramount or whatever. So it's all the same. Like, I love this thing. Here's why. Here's how I'm going to de-risk it with the right actors and the right director. Here's how I'm going to protect your property, your investment, and you beg.
I like
a lot of begging. I mean, that's the thing. You're always begging in our business.
Right. So, Michael, when a man that doesn't spend time with his family can never be a real man, Michael. I love your kid right here. The eyes. Look at those eyes.
That's my man right there.
Huh? Look at him. He's going to be a stud.
He's a stud. He's a
stud, right? How old is he now?
He's 5. That's Coop.
5 years old.
Yes, sir.
What's he enjoying to do right now, 5? What does he like to do most of the time?
He likes, he's into music. He loves to, dance around. He's into, he's into the stuff like Legos and writing.
Right.
And he's started school again post-COVID, which has been great. And so, yeah, he's into the normal stuff. He likes to. He's very funny, so he's into practical jokes. He likes to make people laugh, which is great because that's what I like to do. And yeah, he's the coolest. It's the best thing.
So now,
the hardest. That's
go
the best
ahead.
thing. Well, it's just being a parent is super hard.
So I want to know, Michael, who hit on who when you guys met each other for the first time?
Oh man. Well, definitely me, obviously. Lauren and I had just an instant connection. We got married in less than 3 months from the time we met.
90 days? And this is the first time you ever met her? 90 days before?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
And that was just because we couldn't figure out the timing. I mean, we just knew. And the irony is, like, the day I met her, I had literally told one of my friends, I love being single so much. I don't know that I'll ever have another girlfriend. I literally said it that morning. That was it. And I went to my friend's house, and I was like, after I met her, and I said, "Oh, dude, I'm messed up now."
So she stole your pulmonary artery.
She got me. She did.
Listen.
But she's just But also, like, for me, she came at the exact right moment in my life. Where, like, I needed a person who was like equal parts caretaker and a motivational speaker. Like, she really pushes me. But she also, like, she's just rad. I don't know. That's a separate show. I could do an hour.
Well, of course. But Michael, I think it's good that you finally met somebody because you want to say been there, done that in the past, right? You see these kids getting married in their 20s. That's a guaranteed divorce nowadays. I'm sorry. They don't know anything.
Yeah, and I did that. And I love my first wife was awesome, and a really great person. But we were too young, and you just don't have the skills. You don't have the relationship skills.
Michael, I have just one more question about the managing part, and then we're going to talk about Sugar 23. Is it true managers steal other clients? Be honest.
I actually hope not. I mean, I think managers, certainly in my shop, we really work hard to make sure everyone knows we don't do that. So in my shop, and most managers kind of honor that. Agents, it's game on. They'll try to kill each other all day long. But managers, I think, have largely created a culture of kindness to each other. Mm-hmm. It's been one of the reasons why we've been able to build that industry, the management side, because we're not spending a lot of time looking over our shoulders at someone trying to grab our clients. So actually, I don't see it happen very often. I see it happen. It shouldn't happen. If it happens in my shop, it's a problem, and it doesn't happen twice.
Okay, I like that. So Sugar 23, here it is. All right. Now look, I read your tweets. I follow you on Twitter and Instagram, and I'm saying to myself, this guy has so many departments at Sugar 23. Am I correct?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to build an apparatus that would unlock all potential for creative people, right? So really, I didn't want to have to farm out opportunity flow in service of an idea or a person or a project, right? So I built this apparatus around production, which was the core, to serve production and vice versa. So, audio and podcast, important part of our business. Unscripted television, important part. Built out publishing business. We have, 8 books coming out in the next 12 months. We have the management business. So, but it's all designed to create its own kind of momentum. And so when something comes in, we look at it through multiple lenses about how we can take advantage of that opportunity to maximize the value for the creative team, whether that's us or our clients. And that's what this was designed for.
So you're managing 2 at the same time.
A little bit less so than I used to be, because it's very hands-on. So I have fewer clients than I used to, but I have a half a dozen or so. And then, but our company certainly is. We have a lot of great clients.
So how many employees do you have under you?
We're at 50 right now.
Wow. And you started how many years ago?
3 years, a little over 3 years now. So
wow,
having some fun, and it's a grind, but I think for me it's about creating a culture where people don't feel limited, and I think a lot of CEOs think about culture and talk about culture, but I don't think they get it right. Like, culture is not Summer Fridays or a Sunday bar. Culture is empowerment and path and respect. And so for me, that's where I index all the time. And I think people are happy. I hope so.
But now with an anonymous content, since you're not with them anymore, has it ever happened the clients that you manage said, you know what, I'm sorry, Anonymous, I want to go with Michael, I want to go with Sugar 23?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't so much about Anonymous. It was just they were my people, and my people came, and and that was cool with them. But I don't look at their client. I want them to do well, and
Right.
we have so many friends there. And like I said, we have business with them, and we're making shows with them still, and it's all cool. And they gave me a great opportunity to do this, so here I am.
So what's next now? What are you guys working on now?
We've got season 3 of Dickinson on Apple coming out. We've got we're doing all kinds of fun stuff in the new year. We've launched a tech platform, which I think is really fun, and it's called X for Y, and it's a marketplace for creators to sell spec commercials to brands that need commercials. It's going great, so that's kind of a big new thing for us, and hopefully someone buys us and I can go play golf someday, but no time soon, probably.
And what's your handicap?
I not good, because I haven't played golf in a long time.
And Michael, is your place Sugar 23? Is it in L.A. and within the area, like West Hollywood?
We're in LA and Hollywood, and then we have an office in New York and Washington, D.C. as well.
Wow, so you're expanding.
Oh yeah,
Look at you, Michael. You just
this is the global empire in the making.
I hear you, man. I'm very proud of you.
Someday somebody may reflect on this and say, he said it back then, 2021. But
Michael, if there was a movie about Michael Sugar, which actor would you hire to play Michael Sugar?
Oh, geez, that's a tough one. I mean, Eddie Mata, I guess. If I
You know it, baby.
Is that the right answer?
Hell yeah, you know it.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I mean, you're surrounded by all these great artists.
I know. I just, I never thought about that. Who'd want to play me? It'd be a boring movie.
Are you kidding me, baby? The Brandeis University, going to those parties.
Oh, yeah. That's what it is, man.
So listen, Michael, you've been great. Seriously, I really appreciate your time. I know there was a little conflicts in the past, but I was there for you. I was understandable.
Always. I appreciate you so much. It's an honor to be here.
Michael,
Thank
don't
you.
go anywhere. I just need a huge favor. This is going to be offline. I'm going to stop it right now. So it's Michael Sugar, Oscar-winning producer, and slash Sugar 23 is his company. How's that?
That's great.
All
Wow.
right, hold on. All right.
Hey, it's Michael Sugar. If you know what's good for you, you'll tune in to Eddie Mata on YouTube. You'll follow him on Instagram. You'll follow him on Twitter. You'll follow him on the street. Eddie Mata, he's the man.